Imagine looking at a map of the Middle East and seeing a question that has frustrated diplomats, military planners, and world leaders for decades. If ceasefires have been negotiated, if international pressure continues to grow, and if the cost of conflict keeps rising, why is Israel still inside parts of Lebanon? At first glance, the answer seems simple, but the deeper you look, the more complicated the story becomes. Because this is not just about territory. It is about security, deterrence, power, and a conflict that neither side believes is truly over. For years, the border between Israel and Lebanon has remained one of the most dangerous fault lines in the Middle East. On one side is Israel. On the other is Hezbollah, the powerful armed group and political movement based in Lebanon. Both sides have fought multiple conflicts. Both sides accuse the other of threatening regional stability, and both sides claim they are acting in self-defense. But here is where the story becomes more important. Even when fighting slows down, the underlying security problem remains. Israeli officials argue that withdrawing completely from sensitive border areas could allow Hezbollah fighters and military infrastructure to move closer to Israeli communities near the frontier. From Israel's perspective, distance matters. A few kilometers on a map can mean the difference between early warning and sudden attack, and that fear has shaped military planning for years. But that raises another question. If security is the goal, why has the issue become so controversial internationally? The answer lies in what happens when military strategy collides with sovereignty. Lebanon argues that foreign military presence on its territory is unacceptable. Many governments and international organizations have repeatedly emphasized the importance of respecting Lebanese sovereignty and implementing existing diplomatic agreements. As a result, every additional month of military presence creates new political pressure, and that pressure extends far beyond Lebanon, because what happens on this border affects the entire region. Washington watches closely, Tehran watches closely, Arab governments watch closely, European leaders watch closely. A local conflict can quickly become part of a much larger geopolitical struggle. And that larger struggle is where the story becomes even more significant. Hezbollah is not viewed by Israel as simply a neighboring armed group. Israeli officials see it as one of the most heavily armed non-state actors in the world. Its arsenal, military experience, and regional connections make it a unique security challenge. Supporters of Israel's position argue that leaving before security conditions improve could recreate the same threats that led to conflict in the first place. Critics argue the opposite. They warn that a prolonged military presence risks creating new tensions, increasing instability, and making a future political solution even harder to achieve. This is the central dilemma. Stay, and criticism grows. Leave, and security risks may grow. Neither option offers an easy answer, and that is why the situation remains unresolved. What makes this even more important is the broader regional context. The Middle East is already dealing with multiple crises. Conflicts, proxy rivalries, economic pressures, and shifting alliances have created an environment where even small incidents can trigger larger consequences. A drone crossing a border, a missile launch, a military strike. Any one event can rapidly change calculations on all sides. That uncertainty is exactly why governments continue to monitor the Israel-Lebanon border so closely. Because this is no longer just a dispute about a specific piece of land. It has become a test of how security, diplomacy, and regional power interact in one of the world's most volatile regions. And the future remains unclear. Will diplomatic efforts eventually reduce tensions? Will security guarantees create conditions for withdrawal? Or will both sides remain locked in a cycle of mistrust that keeps the border unstable for years to come? No one knows for certain. But one thing is clear. The question is not simply why Israel is still in Lebanon. The real question is whether the forces that brought both sides to this point have ever truly disappeared. And until that question is answered, the border may remain one of the most important and most dangerous frontiers in the modern world.